Good morning, I'm Candace and this is Fitness and Harmonies. The sun shines on, or doing nothing. So let's just start now, do nothing. How are you doing today? I want you to remind yourself that you are light and that the sun and the light within you are always there. This is just something that we've created a veil. So we have this dusty veil around us, like this fog, where we don't see the good that's always there and the good feelings that are always possible. So yoga is about stripping away and pulling away that dusty veil so that moment by moment, that fog by degrees is lifted. So we see the bright colors of ourselves. The light is already within. Today I want to work on the muscular balance and engagement, but also stretching and relaxing at the same time. When those two things are in balance, we find that the mind actually heals. So a little bit of neuroscience here. They find that when they scan somebody's brain who is doing nothing, traditionally we would always scan people's brains who are doing something because that was what we thought was interesting. But we find when we scan people's brains who are doing nothing, thinking nothing, there's actually a default network of things going on. The brain is actually recovering, recuperating, and calling up memories and then reorganizing and solving problems you maybe weren't even consciously thinking about. So it was already doing things. So doing nothing has a big benefit. And if you don't do nothing, that is, if you're always busy, your brain never has that time to recover and restore. And that's when we find some of the diseases of the nervous system. So let's start out doing nothing except sitting up tall, engaging the lower abdominals. So I want you to feel this upward rising energy, letting the shoulders peel back and down. Let the palms rest face up on the thighs. Lower the eyelids all the way down. And I want you to start with this intention. Make an audible sound. So what I want you to do is listen. Okay, I just had my hearing tested and they put those ear things in and you have to push a button when you hear something. So I want you to start here, rising up. So energy pulling up. We're talking about the sun rising after all. Set your intention today to do nothing. Right now, just listen for any audible sound. So it probably is the breath. But I want this sound to be something organic, something that you feel. Even if you have to imagine that you can hear the mind in its natural, resting state network. That means that our brains are always on. It's just that sometimes they go into, let's call it a restorative loop, where certain parts of your brain work together to solve the deepest problems of being human. So right now, while you're listening, while you're breathing, while you're drawing energy upward, make a conscious choice to commune with stillness. So for me, one of the easiest ways I get to that is not by arguing with myself to stop thinking, but to employ my imagination. So I want you to imagine that you're going on a walk down a trail to a river, and then you become the river. You're just floating, moving. A river doesn't really control itself. all the obstacles, shape and reform it. And this is the exact metaphor that we use for our yoga practice, is that our bodies are a river that is always changing, never the same, and always moving. Now when you inhale, begin drawing energy from the earth. So imagine that you're like a volcano and your energy is rising. I know that I'm a volcano because a lot of times I let out little puffs of like steam, like, ah. I just let out a big sigh. I'm told that it's very audible and that everyone around me knows to get out of my way when I do that. So like you have energy rising, building inside of you, but this energy is natural and organic. And you can now engage abdominals, the walls of the waist, to pull in and pull up. Remember the pelvic floor muscles, don't forget them. Energy rising, Hatha, sun, moon, balanced energy. So it's always a balance between rising up and resting or riding the waves. 2 more of these slow, organic, audible, energy rising breaths. Good. When you're ready now, open your eyes. So I invite you to grab a band. If you have one of these stretchy bands, and then we're going to sit and wrap the band around the feet. If you don't, you could use a strap, but there's some of the things you won't be able to do. Some people do have a challenge putting this around their feet. When you get there, I don't really care about the legs anymore or the hands or the arms. What I do care about is for you to organically lift the spine up. Remember that same volcano. So from the tail, align the vertebrae of the spine, align the neck, and then the crown of the head. The head's going to be a little bit tipped forward because chances are you're leaning a little bit back. That's fine to lean back as long as this lean comes from the axis of the hip, not the low back. Notice the difference. If you can hold on to this band, do. And then just to give it a couple of pulls. Inhale, exhale. Your goal now is to keep everything we've done so far, energy rising, spine straight, audible breath, but keep the shoulders down. Now maybe you're not pulling on this band. Maybe your band has no elasticity, or maybe you don't want to do this rowing action. If you are doing this rowing action though, begin to notice the upper back muscles that are doing the rowing action. Don't pull really hard, and don't have like a band that's so thick that you find yourself really stressing or straining. Remember, our goal today is to do nothing. Now hold halfway, so there's a little bit of tension in the band, there's a little bit of tension in the belly, right? You're squeezing and pulling up. Now purposely round the low back, tuck the tailbone under, roll a little bit back. There should be a lot of tension in this band now. Once you get there, hold, then drop your chin to your chest, look at that heart. Scoop the belly in, roll the upper back over the belly, and then roll the chest over the belly. Then roll all the way up like you're dipping your head under a wire, and then scoop and lift the chest up, pull the shoulders back. So let's try that again with a flat, straight spine, little tension in the band, scooping the belly in, lean a little bit back. Rock the tailbone under, round the low back, roll a little bit further down and back. Once you get there, hold. Drop the chin down, then curl and round and roll. Hollow out the belly more and more and more. We're going to do that one more time. Lean a little back, hold. Drape the shoulders down and hold. Rock the pelvis back and hold. Now roll. You can roll almost most of the way down if you like. If you have that kind of control, drop the chin to look at the heart. Roll the shoulders. Roll the middle back. Roll the lower back. Pull the belly in, then roll all the way up. Hold here. If you can, cross these bands so that they're making an X. X, yeah. Nail the elbows into the sides of the waist and then widen the hands out so the arms are going out and in. All right, so it's really important to me that we do some rotator cuff exercises because so many of us have those shoulder injuries and we need to stretch and strengthen and awaken. So we'll do about 10 of these. Mindfully pull the belly in. Mindfully pull the shoulders down. Remind yourself that I am the light. When you exhale, embrace that upward rising from the pelvic floor to the abdominals. 2 and 1. We're going to uncross this, and then I invite you to come all the way down to your back. So let's roll down. Let's put the band just on one foot and stretch that leg up. Just take a second to get there. I hope that your band is long enough that your elbows can rest on the floor. If they're not, then forget the band and maybe just hold on with your hands or don't hold on at all. Because I really want you to feel the earth beneath you for this. Here we go. Lower your chin down and lengthen the spine. Let's try bending the knee a few times. All right, you probably have a little bit of tension on the band just because it's your human nature to create a problem. Am I right? You just created a problem for yourself because that's what we do. But keep tucking the shoulder blades under so that your spine is fully supported and that the edges of the shoulder blades, remember we just worked, those rotator cuffs, they're pressing down. Stretch the leg up, whatever up means to you, and then try circling your foot around. All right, you had to just kind of let go of the band, or otherwise this is too much on that foot. Point and flex the foot a few times. Don't worry so much about the band here. I know I said let's use a band today, but I don't want you to think that the band is doing something. You are what we're concerned with here. Take the band into the opposite hand and pull the leg across the body and just hold. Cross body forces the two hemispheres of the mind to coordinate and communicate. Slow down the breath. Remember, you're making a conscious choice today to commune with stillness. So when we come into a pose, maybe the most important aspect of each pose is the repose. Remember that our brains have this default resting state network. In other words, your brain has to do important stuff in the gaps between conscious thought. Do 3 slow breaths that aren't a stretch. So if you need to come out of the pose to get into that quiet space, then do that. And then go the other way. So take this band with the hand and take the leg out to open that leg out to the side. Once you get there, return to the audible sound of nothing, sound of the wind, sound of the water. Remember, I said to walk down that path, come to that river, then become the river. It's winding its way. It's finding its way. And you're making a conscious choice to move with stillness. When you go into and become the river, you are light. So picture the light in the river sort of dancing within the waves or the ripples, whatever's in a river. Maybe you being the light, you're clarifying that river. So our yoga practice really is a moving meditation. One more breath. Come back, switch to the other foot. Remember, just get comfortable. Comfortable at first means let the elbows rest. If you can't reach the band, then forget it. But don't pull. And notice your natural tendency to create a problem, to create stress, to create, something that you have to battle. A lot of us think that if we're not solving some problem, if we're not doing, then we're nothing. Then things won't be good at all. After 3 audible, stilling, but awakening breaths. Holding on to the band, let's bend the knee a few times. See how that does. Notice if, we've been holding this band for a while, notice if your shoulder neck is doing that clenching thing. Straighten the leg and then circle the foot around. Anytime you can get a little cup, a little spot of sunlight and stillness, I want you to bask in it. Boy, this foot, hold on, this foot is my plantar fasciitis foot, and I can feel that. Whenever you're done with that, transfer the band to the opposite hand, pull the leg across, and then take in. So I want you to purposely sip from that cup of the feeling of tranquility right now. So change your natural state of always grabbing or grasping. In yoga, the word is aparigraha, don't grab, to one of flow. So you're making a conscious choice moment by moment, lifting, remember that veil, by like slow degrees, changing the color and the textures of the body. Even if it's a faint sound, right now your body is making a sound color. And then it's a sound color of healing. One more slow breath without tension, with a natural flow. Then go to the outside, so switch hands and pull the leg out. So separate that natural thinking mind. I guess I called it natural. I guess it's natural. But your thinking mind, the one that is aware that, well, I had to get to yoga class and I have to go do this and, this and that. And here's a problem I have to solve. Separate that mind. Send it to that river, I guess. Let it float. And then let what neurologists would call the resting state network. I don't care what you call it, kind of the back mind, because this mind actually has to do with memories and movement, believe it or not. If you're making the raspy kind of throaty breath, kind of resort to that again. 2. All right, so when you're ready now, bend the knee to take the strap off. So it's just sort of with a nice little stretch there. Roll your way into hands and knees. We got to get up to that half moon pose. So remember what half moon pose is a balancing pose on one leg. So I said hands and knees. Take one leg and kind of shoot it directly out. What is that, 90 degrees out to the side without leaning too much. So I know you can't really see too well here. I'm going to come off my mat. Push this foot down into the floor. So the inner edge of the foot and the inner thigh are pushing down. But I want you to go back to thinking all fours, right? All fours. So even though that one leg is shot out to the side, you're on all fours. Then from here, I have this back foot, toe tucked under, push the hips back. Maybe stretch the arms forward. So this is exactly like a puppy pose. except one leg is shot out to the side. I overworked my inner thighs the other day, so I really have a stretch going on here. Play around with this. This might overstretch kind of the ligaments of the inner knee, so keep the inner muscles of the legs hard. So tighten the muscles around the legs. Maybe close your eyes so you can see. You can see those long muscles of the leg either getting stretched or strengthened. And this is the purpose of today, that the sun is always there. The clouds are in our view. That's what we see. We see clouds, but the sun is always there. So the strength of your muscles are always there, but also there is a stretch that's always there. 2 breaths. From here, push into the floor and rise up onto this knee. So the one knee is most of your weight and the other leg is stretched out. Lift both arms overhead and climb the rope. Right side, left side, right side, left side. Then equally push up. Maybe your palms even can touch each other. Then lean towards the outstretched leg. Stay bladed, that is 1. All right, this is really good exercise or preparation for that half moon pose. Half moon, right? So the moon is our cooling, calming, relaxed, flowing, this natural state that goes on underneath the bright light of the sun. 2 more breaths. Keep rising up this opposite side of the waist. And then make your way down. Let's go over to the other leg. I'm going to shoot around here. So we're in hands and knees. Then we take one leg and shoot it out, directly out, 90 degrees. And then push the inner edge of the foot down. Push, push, push. Like you're trying to do one of those adductor machines. Squeeze. Keep this hip of the other leg square, right up over its knee. No shifting or falling. Embrace the lower abdominals, remember? That upward rising. So there are gravitational problems right, in life. There are human problems, part of being in this world. So right now, kind of fight against those gravitational problems. You want to just fall down and give up. Right now, we're balancing that with effort. Then turn this back toes under and then push the hips back. Maybe glide your hands forward and drape the chest down if you want a nice chest stretch. But keep action on this long leg. I'm going to sit on this back foot so I can get a stretch there. Wherever you are, feel your way into idleness. So you set up the pose, right? This leg goes here, this arm goes here, this with stretch, the strength, all that. Then feel your way into idleness. That's when the mind, it's sort of like when you stop to pose so that a picture can be taken. We always stop. Somebody's going to take our picture, we stop. It's kind of like that. The mind has to go get in there. Give it a moment. Two more breaths. All right, so push with your hands, come up onto this supporting knee. So this is called gate pose, those of you that know. Reach the arms overhead and then climb your way up, right and left, like you're trying to reach for something up there. You're trying to figure out which arm is the taller arm. We all have that. We all have one arm that reaches and can get that thing. Bring the palms together, then lean over and find that gate pose. Work strongly in every direction. This is really important for half moon pose. All right, I'm gonna get a nice visit here. He walked almost up to me, then he walked away. But keep working the lower body. The lower body is like, I guess, a pyramid, a really strong conscious structure that's holding you. So once you get into pose, repose. So work your way consciously into idleness. 2 more breaths. Breathe in every direction and then release. Let's make our way into downward dog, so slowly. I want you to feel your way. Let's say you just got out of bed, or you just got out of that desk chair, I know. Or you were just doing your chores, your work. That's good. It's good that your mind and your body do things, important things, but then there also has to be repose. And repose isn't just when everything else stops. Repose can be a conscious choice to quiet and enter into a state of stillness. Begin to tiptoe forward and hang in forward fold. Wiggle the toes, the soles of the feet, like you're feeling the beach, you're feeling that sand. And then walk your way to your knees. Bend one knee, then the other, like you're going for a walk. Right, left, right, left. Bend both knees and round the spine. So your back now just became a parachute, taking in more and more and more air. That should feel so good. Breathe in every direction. Let the shoulder blades fall out. Remember that row we did with the band and the arms and the shoulders and the rotator cuffs? And then push off the thigh, scoop the belly in and unwind the spine. Build a stack up to the crown of the head. Let's come a bit closer to the front of the mat. Balance on one leg. Practice. Let's just practice stepping back into high lunge. And then slowly back to Tadasana. So kind of in these steps, my hands center me. I balance on one leg, and then I slowly step back. Now, whenever I get into high lunge, there has to be this moment where I'm no longer falling. And then I come back to Tadasana, and again, there's this moment when I'm no longer falling. So keep just practicing right and left. Keep going, exactly what you're doing. But I just want to add in your mind the element of strength. So imagine that instead of being, that light, lithe person that you are, that you're really heavy. And so landing could be super heavy. And holding could be very hard because you're heavy. Like imagine you're holding, your couch. So add in the element of strength. Exercise more than you have to, is what I mean. Land in this high lunge and hold. Tip the upper body forward and hold. Bend this front knee and hold. All right, this is introducing the low back and its importance in holding your spine. Now, hop a little bit forward so that you're on the back toes, and you're really essentially just balancing on this front leg. Tip a little further forward and hold. This is all practicing balance. That's all we're doing is practicing balance. See if you can lift off that back foot and hold. I got this front knee bent, not a lot, but I have it bent. Then come all the way up to Tadasana. So come back. Once you get to Tadasana, you're balanced again. Let's try the other leg. So I center first, that's my way. Step back to that high lunge with strength and lightness, and then hold. Wobble, wobble, wobble. Then tip the upper body forward. This introduces the low back to its importance and holding the spine, so that when you're going about your normal everyday thing, right, you go about and you're going to be picking things up off the floor, you're going to be hunched over a keyboard, your low back will be awake for that. Then kind of hop halfway forward so that you're almost completely balancing on this front leg. Tip the upper body a little further forward so it's pretty much parallel to the floor. Control the inner and outer thigh. We stretched and then we worked the inner and outer thigh on purpose. Lift this back leg up and see if you can balance for a moment. Then come all the way up to Tadasana. All right, we're going to approach this from the other direction now. Circle up, forward fold. Step back into plank pose. Remember, your plank is wherever you need plank to be. If you can, find repose. Find that stillness and calm, even in plank pose. Lower all the way down. And I say, just keep the arms. Just keep the arms kind of holding you. Maybe stretch them out more like a T. But however they hold you, just holding this upper body. We're going to lift one leg up. Bend its knee. Now twist. So this top foot is trying to get sort of to the floor behind you. Don't go too far. Don't let this image change what your body knows is the right thing to do here. Come back. Try the other leg. Lift that leg. Bend its knee. Now twist the hips over like this foot's trying to get to the floor, but keep honoring what you know you should and shouldn't be doing here. And then come back. I'm going to invite you to try that again, right and left. So go slow. Good. And then get to the other side. Let's say you've been on one side. When you're ready, come back. Push back into child's pose. 3. Okay, after this, we're going to grow up into half moon pose, but from the bottom up. You have those blocks handy. This would be a good time to grab them. So let's see how we do in half moon pose. Come up, step one foot forward, lean forward in a lower lunge. We were in high lunge, so everything is now from the ground up. So this is a good example of how we're balancing the forces of rising and going down. So remember, the sun's always going up and the moon's always kind of bringing us back into a resting state. So the sun gets us there, is drive and ambition, but then the moon does a really important work, this sort of resting state. I'm going to use the blocks. I'm going to use them kind of like a little cane or sticks. Lift the back knee, balance on this front leg. Pull the belly in. Remember the low back's work? We already practiced that. Then hop a little bit forward, pause there, and balance on this front leg. It's the same pose we did before. Walk the blocks or the hands forward, balance on the hands and the foot, of course. Everyone just kind of kicked up into a handstand. Don't do that. All we're going to do is lift the back leg into that parallel shape. All right, you're feeling really balanced and secure. The opposite hand can come up off the floor and you spin the hips open. Stretch one arm towards the ceiling. All right, don't look at me. Only look down at the floor as you practice this. Doesn't matter to you right now how many hands are on the floor, how many feet are on the floor, or even where you're looking. What matters to me is that you're practicing pushing down while pulling up. So energy moving through your body equally and evenly, so that when we go into that resting state, you've got a lot of awareness. So in other words, those little injured parts of your body get healed. All right, so come down. Step back to downward dog. Come down to hands and knees. Step the other foot forward. So let's try that half moon pose again. 1 foot forward, lean forward, low lunge, Anjaneyasana. Scoop the belly in to lift the back knee. So the abs are really creating an anchor for this front leg. Who's going to do most of the balancing? Hop a little forward and balance. Use your little walking stick canes and walk forward. Lift this back leg and pause. The opposite hand, whatever leg is stretched back, that's the hand that reaches up maybe, and you twist. So the leg bone twisting around, or the hip twisting around the leg bone. All that's necessary here is that you're practicing. Balancing strength with stillness. So work strongly in every direction. That's what matters here. You're pushing down and you're rising up and you're stretching out. So it's kind of like, even though this is called half moon, it's kind of like a sun radiating its energy in every direction. Give this some time. Two more breaths. I know it's hard. Come down. Make your way all the way and safely down to a seated pose. I do that through a low squat. And we're going to roll down very, very slowly. So once you get there, tuck the tail, round the back, roll through the spine. Pause maybe halfway to challenge your abdominals to awaken more, and then roll all the way down. Draw the knees to the chest. Widen the knees out and pull the knees towards the armpits. Go back to that audible. The brain, chemistry, electricity, they actually make a sound. It's a really, really, really soft sound. Like, if you've ever been at a still lake, there's always a sound. If you want to happy baby this, I like to grab these toes and pull the legs up. It's my version of happy baby. And then move all the way to Shavasana. All right, here's where all the hard work really matters. I want you to lie all the way down, maybe with something supporting you. Your mind is restoring itself. by letting go of surface tension. More and more, you are becoming free. Slowly inhale, let it go. Make a conscious choice to transcend the stress and the strain and to carry this awareness continually. The sun is always shining and you are restored. With one more breath now, let go of any leftover residue of stress and strain in the muscles and the connective tissues. Then begin to slowly roll to your side. Push up and off the floor as you open your eyes. Come back up and join me in a seated pose. Once you get there, important, align the spine so that that river of energy from the mind to the tail and back is open. Press the palms together and funnel the thumbs into the heart. Inhale as you stretch and lift, energy rising. And as you exhale, you gather all of that strength and inner knowing. Bring it into your heart and offer it to the universe. Namaste.